time this year is Graham here, living the dream in January 2025. It certainly will be, guys, by the time this 300th episode on my channel publishes. Guys, this particular episode is being published for our fantastic friends Michael and Donna, who we joined at the Sandals Halcyon back in October 2024. And by special request of Michael and Donna, I'm going to publish Saint Lucia 24, the full motion picture. Guys, if you've watched the videos from our Saint Lucia 24 series, you'll probably want to give up on this video, go back and look at something else on the channel, because this is simply all of the component parts of Saint Lucia 24 stitched together into one full motion picture. Let's go. Hi, I'm Graham, and this is my wife Fiona, and we have always had a work hard, play hard philosophy. From London to New York, and of course the Caribbean, we live our dream through travel. And of course, the odd cocktail. And here on YouTube, we create our memories while living our dream. So come and join us as we share our memories with you. Basically, guys, if my GoPro hadn't failed on me, I had planned to take you on the journey from the Premier Inn North Terminal across to the South Terminal. However, I've made this journey before, last time in October 2020. So at least I have some footage to show you. And to bring you our check-in experience at the British Airways Club and First Section here in Gatwick South Terminal, I had to go back another year to 2019 when Fiona and I headed to the Sandals Grenada Antigua for the first time. Luckily for us this year, it was very quiet, unlike back in 2019. Our check-in experience was very good, and the check-in agent at the British Airways Club and First area were absolutely fantastic. We then headed to the BA Lounge at Gatwick South Terminal, and I think I've said this a million times, but the British Airways Lounge at Gatwick's South Terminal is far superior to any British Airways lounge that you will find at London Heathrow. I then had to go back to October 2017 to find footage on the right-hand side of the aircraft as Fiona and I headed first to Saint Lucia and then to Grenada for our second visit to the Sandals Grenada. And as I explained earlier, I've been suffering real issues with my GoPro since we were in Hawaii back in July. For some reason, the camera just decides on its own to format the SD card, deleting everything that I'd taken up to the deletion point. So as I edit this video in early November 2024, I'm undecided at the moment whether to completely give up on GoPro and go to a different brand, maybe the Insta360. So if anyone watching this episode has any thoughts on which camera I should consider, please let me know in the comments below. Our lunch orders had been taken before we departed Gatwick. I'd chosen to start with the pear and cauliflower soup, which I washed down with a glass of Heineken, while avoiding the salad, of course. And you know what, guys, I'd no complaints. It was pretty good. Main course was chicken tikka masala, which those of you who probably will remember that chicken tikka masala used to be the British Airways signature dish. And this is what I always used to order on my long haul flights out of London on board British Airways. And that was back before the pandemic, when you used to be able to go online when checking in and choosing your lunch. But sadly, British Airways never brought that back after the pandemic. And as you can see by my empty plate, it was very good. And checking over to see how Fiona was getting on, she was definitely well underway with her lunch as well. And for dessert, there was a very nice chocolate cake with a cup of black coffee. Absolutely perfect. What more did I need? And I have no idea what Fiona was having for dessert, but I know she finished it all. Just over an hour out of Saint Lucia, British Airways served what they refer to as afternoon tea. Basically, cold sandwiches, not very inspiring, and certainly nowhere near as good as the chicken burger that you would get on board Virgin Atlantic in upper class. And as you can see, the seat beside me was free again. And I know that is probably a point that I should have explained earlier in this episode. Seat 4K, the window seat in the last row of the Club World cabin here, was kept free for crew rest. That meant that the captain, the first officer and the relief pilot each had a few hours rest during the cruise phase of this flight. So I took advantage of the empty seat, set up the GoPro and kept my iPhone at close reach as a backup, claiming my spot next to the window for our approach into Fiona International Airport at Saint Lucia. And for those of you who are interested, right now in the episode I'm looking down at the French island of Martinique and its capital, Port-de-France. Due to the prevailing winds in this part of the world, flights into Saint Lucia's Fiona International Airport land in a southeasterly direction, and that I think is runway 10 from memory. And yes guys, that means I'm sitting on the right hand side of the aircraft, which means it's the worst side of the aircraft for any views on the beautiful approach, or what should be a beautiful approach today into Saint Lucia. So going back to October 2020, when we last visited Saint Lucia on approach, the weather certainly wasn't as good as it was today, but as you can see, if you're on the left hand side of the aircraft, you get an absolutely beautiful view of the island on approach to runway 10 at UVF. So in hindsight, maybe I should have spent the £108 that British Airways wanted me to spend several months ago when a window seat on the left hand side of the aircraft on today's flight was available. But what sticks in my throat, guys, is that £108 is actually £216 when you take into consideration Fiona and I, and multiply that up to a return journey and you get £432 spent just reserving seats on board British Airways. And guys, I just can't justify the spend, because I can find much better things to spend £432 on than just handing it over to British Airways to reserve a seat on board one of their aircraft. So back to today's flight with clear skies and sunshine. I'm absolutely sure the views out of the left-hand windows on board this flight into St. Lucia were absolutely gorgeous, while I was just staring out at open ocean. But through the haze, if you look very carefully, you can see the neighbouring island of St. Vincent, which is situated just south of St. Lucia. So as we touch down at St. Lucia's Fiona International Airport, how would I sum up this flight on board British Airways in their old yin-yang Club World seats? Yep, the flight left just over an hour late and therefore arrived about 45 minutes late here in St. Lucia. You know guys, it was a technical issue, but British Airways at the Club Lounge in Gatwick kept us all up to date. So you know, I really can't complain too much about that delay. But without a doubt, the standout of this particular flight on board British Airways was the staff, guys. They were absolutely fantastic, and I would probably go as far to say they were probably one of the best cabin crews we've ever had on board a British Airways long-haul flight. They just delivered a first-class service from departure to arrival. And you know what guys, the cabin crew can just make the difference between it being a good flight and a not so good flight. And this flight, guys, in my opinion, was an excellent flight. Thank you very much British Airways, and a massive thank you to the super cabin crew that we had on this journey from London Gatwick to St. Lucia. Guys, I love the arrival into Saint Lucia. You step out of your climate-controlled aircraft after 8.5 hours travelling all the way across from the UK into the gorgeous, hot and humid air of the tropics. I love it, guys. There's nothing that beats that feeling. Before this short walk to immigration. I'm not sure exactly when the St. Lucian authorities changed their immigration process, but for the first time this year, I completed Fiona's and my immigration paperwork, including customs documentation, or should I say declaration, before we left the UK. It wasn't exactly the easiest process, but you know what, guys, it wasn't too bad. And it meant we didn't have to fill out those silly little forms that are handed out on the aircraft before you land. And as you can imagine, guys, I didn't video the immigration or the customs process. Instead, we went straight through the double doors opposite the customs desks and headed straight to the Sandals lounge. Yes, guys, Sandals have their own arrivals lounge here at Saint Lucia. Right, guys, maybe first cheers. Yes, guys, that first cold piton, even though it was in a plastic cup, went down so well. But you don't end up spending that long at the Sandals arrival lounge at the airport. I think we were there for only about 15 minutes. Enough time to get a drink, use the facilities, and then we were on our way to the bus that would take us to the Sandals Halcyon. As you can see, I managed to call shotgun and I got the front passenger seat, which would certainly help in getting you some content from this Sandals transfer from Fiona International Airport up to the Halcyon in Castries. And I'm afraid to say, guys, this journey is the Achilles heel of any Sandals experience here in St. Lucia, because ahead of you is around 90 minutes to 2 hours on board what is certainly not going to be a comfortable ride along a twisty mountain road between here in the south and right up to the north, where the Sandals Halcyon is located. If you go back to video number 157 here on the channel, I dedicated an entire episode to the Sandals Hotel transfer here in St. Lucia. However, there are a couple of health warnings on that particular episode. The first, of course, being that the episode was recorded in October 2020. And for us, that was really the first year of the pandemic. The next thing that I want to say is that particular hotel transfer was to the Sandals Grand Saint Lucia, and it's typically about 30 minutes further north beyond the Halcyon, but I did point out the Halcyon en route to the Grand in that episode. And finally, I did try to inject some humour into that video. I probably shouldn't have, but I couldn't help myself, and from memory I think I only offended one person. But at the time of editing this particular episode, that transfer video has been seen by nearly 4,000 viewers, so I didn't think I did that bad, only offending one viewer. But no matter how you look at it, guys, it's not a great journey from the airport at Point View in the south to any of the Sandals resorts, the La Toc, the Halcyon, or even the Grand. But if money's no object, you can always do the helicopter transfer, and at the time of editing this video, I checked it was about $400 each way per couple. We've just arrived in the outskirts of Dennery, which marks the halfway between the airport and of course the capital Castries. So at this point we'd been on the road for just over 40 minutes. A helicopter transfer to Castries from the airport at UVF will take you only about 10 minutes. But also remember, guys, that your baggage will be going by road on this 1.5 hour to 2 hour journey, while you go in the helicopter up to the small airport at Castries, and then you'll be bused to your Sandals resort. And the last thing I'm going to say on the helicopter transfer is it's never guaranteed, because if one couple turn up, it simply doesn't make the flight worthwhile for the helicopter company. The bottom line, guys, they need 2 to 3 couples to make it work. So in the 5 or 6 trips that Fiona and I have made to Saint Lucia over the last 11 years, we've paid the $100 and something each way for a private transfer on one trip only. But to be quite honest, guys, it's simply not worth it. This minibus transfer is included in your Sandals all-inclusive vacation package. So in my opinion, no helicopter trip or private transfer is really worth it. Okay, we're just over an hour into the transfer and we're approaching the outskirts of the Saint Lucian capital, Castries. And those of you who've made this journey before will recognise that the driver is taking a slightly different route today. Because when we were in Saint Lucia during this trip in October 2024, there was major road resurfacing work going on the main road that connects the north and the south of the island. So you guessed it, this was an even windier approach to the Saint Lucian capital, Castries, but it did give us some beautiful views of the city's harbour as we made our approach. And as we make our way through the city streets of Castries, the Saint Lucian capital, on our left and our right now is the market here in Castries. There is of course nothing to stop you booking a taxi at the reception, or should I call it the lobby, at any of the 3 Sandals resorts here on the island. And they'll take you into Castries and arrange to collect you at whatever time you want. In fact, Fiona, Donna, Michael and I did just that on Tuesday, and you will see our trip to the port of Castries and then Rodney Bay on a later episode. So you know what to do, guys, if you want to continue to follow Fiona, Donna, Michael and I as we enjoy our Saint Lucian 24 adventure. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and press the bell icon to be notified when our next episode is published, which for this mini-series is 7 AM GMT every Thursday morning. And as we head out of the town centre, or is it the city centre here of Castries, we're approaching the little airport that is simply known as Castries Airport. And you know, guys, in all the times that I've made this journey in and out of Castries, I've never seen an aircraft take off on this runway, which runs right next to the main road. But if you're staying at the Sandals Halcyon, you will hear the aircraft departing this little airport. And if you're worried about noise, guys, don't, because there's not a lot of aircraft movements a day. And what aircraft you do hear departing are all propeller aircraft, heading in a short island hop between here and Castries and places like Barbados and Antigua. So as we leave the small airport at Castries behind us, we're now only about 5 minutes away from the Sandals Halcyon Beach.
your life. Our staff are so friendly, it's a TV show. Welcome to Sandals.
Both Fiona and I and Michael and Donna were staying in club level rooms, so that meant we were escorted to the club room here at the Sandals Halcyon Beach Saint Lucia. And as I stated in the hotel review 2 episodes ago, this is probably one of the best Sandals club lounges we've ever experienced. And this is a good point to tell you in the episode that I've already recorded and published a full resort and room tour of this resort, the Halcyon Beach Saint Lucia. You just have to go back 2 episodes to number 293 to watch it. And the 4 of us weren't going to be in the club lounge today that long, because about a week before this trip we'd logged in to a respective Sandals Select returning guests app and completed the check-in process online, including registering our credit cards. And it wasn't long until Fiona and I were being escorted to our room, which was room number 604. Crystal Lagoon walkout, swim up, club level room. Yes guys, I know the Sandals room categories are very complex, but again, if you go back 2 episodes, you can also get a full tour of our room and 3 other rooms at this fantastic little Sandals resort. And our first night tradition, every time we visit Sandals, is to go to the Bayside, where personally I always start with Sandals' fantastic French onion soup, followed by their signature chicken dish. And this, guys, is where I bring this first episode on our first day, which is our travel day to the Sandals Halcyon Beach in Saint Lucia during October 2024 to an end. Thank you so much for watching. Making the extremely long journey next door to check in on Michael and Donna, we find that Donna has stubbed her toe once again and was clearly in a lot of pain. Poor Donna. So being the true friends that we are, we just decided to leave Michael and Donna to sort out their morning, which I think included a trip to the on-site nurse here at the Sandals Halcyon, leaving Fiona and I to head to breakfast. And this morning it was going to be the Bayside, where we had dinner last night on our first evening here at the Sandals Halcyon St Lucia. Set the scene that our room is situated right outside the Crystal Lagoon. In fact, our room is called a Crystal Lagoon walkout swim up room. It is at the back resort, which makes it nice and super quiet, which is perfect for Fiona and I. But it does mean we've got quite a bit of a walk to the main part of the resort, where the Bayside is, where we're heading for breakfast. And just a reminder, guys, that we have done a full resort and a room tour from about 4 rooms in this resort, which is the Sandals Halcyon St Lucia. Just go back to video number 293. As we approach the this small beach at the Sandals Halcyon, you will recognise it because I've done quite a few of my introductions during this video series right at this part of the beach. And just in case you're wondering, the island that you can see in the distance is known as Rat Island. I've got no idea why. I don't think there are any rats on it. Michael and I did joke about swimming out to it a couple of times, but due to the amount of jellyfish and the really strong currents, we decided to give it a miss, including taking a kayak out to Rat Island. This is the jacuzzi that Fiona, Michael, Donna and I enjoyed during a couple of evenings, even one evening taking a time lapse of the setting sun. This, guys, is the gazebo with the offending step where poor Donna stubbed her toe. But what is most ironic about it is this gazebo is also where Donna and Michael retook their wedding vows on their 25th wedding anniversary. And later on this month, at the time of editing this episode, in early November 2024, Fiona and I will be 2 years away from our 25th wedding anniversary. And we have plans to retake our vows at the Sandals Grand Saint Lucia, but you never know, things might change between now and then. And for those of you who have watched our resort and room tour here from the Sandals Halcyon St Lucia, you will know that the pier in front of me is Kelly's Dockside, one of our favourite restaurants on site at this fantastic little resort. And right next to the main pool here on the resort is the Bayside Restaurant, where Fiona and I are heading for breakfast right now. And for those of you who visited other Sandals resorts and ate at the Bayside Restaurant for breakfast, you will know that it is a buffet restaurant with all the usual hot and cold food, including an omelette station. And yes, guys, it is very good, setting you up for the day. And straight after breakfast, Fiona and I headed back to the room to get ready for lazing beside the pool and doing very little on this Sunday in St Lucia. But you know what that means, guys, there's very little video content to bring you when Fiona and I are simply relaxing. But right now we're heading to pick up some towels, which was absolutely no problem here at the Sandals Halcyon. After a morning of doing absolutely nothing and therefore burning no calories whatsoever, yes guys, it was time for Fiona and I to meet Donna and Michael to head to the beach bar for some lunch. And I would like to say, for our first alcoholic drink of the day, but I think Fiona and I had mimosas at breakfast. I'm sure you'll forgive us. After all, it was our first day here at the Halsey in Saint Lucia.
Donna got a Caesar salad. Let's just take this as the one and only time Donna will eat a Caesar salad. Fiona's gone for the
Quesadillas, chicken quesadillas.
quesadillas. They look good. The boys have gone for burgers.
Jack Daniels vodka.
And after lunch, guys, we headed to the beach bar for dessert, which translates into cocktails. And on Sunday evening, while the sun set, we headed to the jacuzzi to enjoy a glass of champagne or two. And we finished off Sunday night at Mario's, which of course is the Italian restaurant. And that's it, guys, for Sunday and our first full day at the Sandals Halsey in Saint Lucia. So I'm going to leave you with some photographs that I took throughout today. Morning on Monday, the 14th of October 2024, and as you can see, I'm taking an early morning walk on the beach today. Fiona's still in bed snoozing. No idea what we're going to get up to today, but I can tell you this, guys, it ain't going to be very much. And if you continue to watch this episode, you'll be joining Fiona and I on our second full day here at the Sandals Halsey in Saint Lucia. Set up our towels for the day at the spot on the lagoon. Not exactly the same spot that we had yesterday, but only a few feet away from it, so not too bad. Somebody was clearly up earlier than me this morning, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take a wander back to the room, see if Fiona's up to, and then we will think about heading over to the Bayside for breakfast. Now, the Bayside here for breakfast is a buffet restaurant. You'll have seen that in many of our Sandals videos, and also you can go to for a la carte breakfast dining at Kelly's, which is just there on the pier. We'll definitely do that at some point during this vacation. In fact, Fiona and I were at Kelly's, at the piano bar in Kelly's, until 11:45 last night, and if you're probably hearing it in my voice, there was definitely far too much fun being had here at the Sandals Halsey in St Lucia last night. Anyway, let's get Monday underway. This, guys, is the Crystal Lagoon, the latest addition to this resort, and I believe it is one of the longest lazy river type pools here in the Caribbean. I'm not sure how true that is, but Sandals like to think it is. With Fiona up and about, it was time to head back to the Bayside for breakfast. And I'm not sure this breakfast was any healthier than yesterday, but who cares? We're on vacation. And after breakfast, Fiona and I did go for a walk on the beach. We didn't take much footage, except Fiona managed to catch these little birds jumping in and out of the water next to Kelly's dockside. But this was, guys, the only footage that we recorded on Monday and day 2 of our Saint Lucia 24 adventure. However, I did manage to catch a really nice time-lapse sunset that we took next to the jacuzzi while enjoying night 2 with a bottle of champagne and fantastic friends. After the sun went down, you would have found us back at the Bayside, which I have to admit wasn't really where we wanted to be this evening. However, the challenge that we had this year was booking restaurants, either here at the Sandals Halcyon or the other 2 Sandals resorts, the La Toc or the Grand. However, I do want to make it clear that there is nothing wrong with the Bayside. The food is absolutely excellent, as you can see here from our main courses. Donna had really wanted to go to the French restaurant at La Toc, and I felt so disappointed for Donna that we never managed to make it to the French restaurant at La Toc during our entire Saint Lucia 24 adventure. So as we move on to dessert, I'm going to bring Monday to a close. I'm going to leave you in a second with a little bit of the entertainment here at the Halcyon, and then I'm going to move on to some photographs that we took throughout today. It's Tuesday morning, the 15th of October 2024, and as you can see, I'm standing on one of the many bridges across the lazy river that runs past our room here at the Sandals Halcyon, Saint Lucia. So Tuesday today, we're going to book a taxi just after breakfast. We're going to head down to the duty-free mall at the Castries Port before then heading up to the mall at Rodney Bay. The girls want to do some shopping. We'll then head back to the resort here and spend the afternoon lazing around the pool or the beach, and then
This evening we're going to the Bombay, which is of course the Indian restaurant at the Sandals Grand Saint Lucia, which you've seen many times here on the channel before.
So my plan right now was to head to reception and book a taxi. Now guys, there are plenty of taxi firms in Saint Lucia that you can just contact directly yourself, and we've done that in the past. However, the guy that we've used over the years is no longer working as a taxi driver. So I thought the easiest thing to do was simply to go to the reception or the lobby desk here at the Sandals Halcyon and book a taxi. At least it would be a Sandals approved taxi, therefore it would be a decent car and a reliable driver that we can negotiate several sectors with this morning. And it wasn't long until our driver arrived in his brand new Lexus SUV. And as usual, I called shotgun, in a bid of course to try and bring you some better video content, with our first sector being from the Sandals Halcyon down to the port of Castries, where there was a pretty good duty-free mall. For point of reference, the Sandals Halcyon Resort is based on the beach side of the main road that leads from Castries North to Rodney Bay. The stretch of road outside the Halcyon is a dual carriageway. So that means every time you leave the resort to go south, you've got to go north for a mile, go round this roundabout outside Audi Saint Lucia, and then head south again towards Castries, the capital of Saint Lucia. And less than 10 minutes after leaving the resort, we were on the road heading into Castries that runs parallel to the runway at the airport. And just like every other time that I've driven past this little airport near the city centre of Castries, yep, there were no planes. As we approached the security gates at the duty-free mall at the port of Castries, we realised that there was a cruise liner in. This isn't what we really wanted to see today. Cruise liners normally come to Castries on a Wednesday or maybe a Thursday, but we weren't expecting one today, being Tuesday. This means that the duty-free mall here at the port is going to be a lot busier than we were expecting today. And yes guys, being a cruise ship and a duty-free mall, that means there's going to be lots of old people, Zimmer frames and even wheelchairs. Probably us in another 15 to 20 years. And that, guys, is the reason I refuse to go on a cruise. Anyway, back to today. The taxi driver was going to be dropping us off outside the front of the mall. I would then get his mobile, or should I say cell phone number from him, and I would use this to call him to come and pick us up and take us to the Rodney Bay Mall in a few hours' time. Okay, let's make it absolutely clear here, guys. Michael and I hate shopping. From memory, there was a nice little bar at the end of the shopping mall here at the Port of Castries, and that is exactly where Michael and I are heading right now. And the bar that I was heading for was still there. Thank goodness, cold beer wasn't far away. But that first cold piton will have to wait, because I'm going to take you over to the shore and let you see the Port of Castries. And for reference, guys, Piton is the local beer here in Saint Lucia, and it is very good. So after Michael and I consumed a couple of more cold Pitons, we went back to the front of the mall and met up with the girls before calling the taxi driver to come and pick us up and take us to the mall at Rodney Bay. Leaving the duty-free mall at Castries and seeing that massive floating tin can that masquerades as a cruise liner still doesn't inspire me to take a Caribbean cruise, which in my opinion is just shuttling between the same old Caribbean towns that you will find in any of these islands in this part of the world. And as we reached the small airport here at Castries, you guessed it guys, there wasn't an aeroplane in sight. Typical. Anyway, we're now en route to the mall at Rodney Bay, which would take us approximately 25 to 30 minutes. As we reached Rodney Bay, our driver took us on a little bit of a tour to show us what had changed in this part of the island since we last visited it. While Fiona, Donna, Michael and I were in Saint Lucia in October 2020, it was right at the start of the pandemic, guys, and the result was the island was pretty well closed. So as we stepped out of the car, this was the first time that we had visited the mall at Rodney Bay in more than 5 years. And as we expected, some stores were no longer there. Some were thriving, and as you'll see shortly, the mall had a bit of a makeover. And it's in this part of the mall that there's been a lot of investment made. And I have to admit, they've made a massive improvement, despite a lot of the stores no longer being here anymore. The Magpie sisters were of course looking for a particular store that would attract their beady eyes to little shiny things. But unfortunately, the Colombian Emeralds here at the Rodney Bay Mall was definitely a casualty of the pandemic. And the ironic thing was, guys, this afternoon I was the only one that bought anything at the Rodney Bay Mall. Yep, after finding the American Polo outlet store, I managed to buy some t-shirts. I was happy, the girls weren't, so we simply called the taxi to take us back to the Halcyon. Back at the Halcyon, we planned a pretty relaxing afternoon. And our relaxing afternoon back at the Halcyon would start with a pizza. And at every Sandals we visited, either here in Saint Lucia, Antigua or Grenada, the pizza has always been very good. However, not so at the Halcyon in our opinion. The order process simply took ages at the little pizza van. I'm genuinely struggling to remember how long it did take, as it's now over a month since we're back from our vacation in Saint Lucia, but I'm sure it was over 45 minutes. The pizza menu choice was also not great at this particular resort, and as for the pizza themselves, nah, they weren't great either. Sorry Sandals Halcyon, I'm just being very honest, we didn't go back. Okay, it's Tuesday night, guys, and Fiona, Donna, Michael and I are going to be heading over to the Sandals Grand, to the Bombay, which of course is the Indian restaurant. I was going to take you with us and go through the inter-island hotel transfer system that Sandals have here in Saint Lucia, but we're going to actually head back to the Grand tomorrow to hang out there for the day before coming back here to go to Kelly's tomorrow night. So what I'm going to do is close the video here, leave you with some photographs that I took down at the Port of Castries and whatever I take later at the Bombay. I'm going to finish this episode and we'll start the next episode, which for us is tomorrow and Wednesday, when we'll head over to the Grand for the day, and I'll take you with us. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and press the bell icon if you want to continue to follow Fiona, Donna, Michael and I as we enjoy Saint Lucia 24. The Bombay restaurants that we visited at Sandals are very good, and as a result the one at the Grand is absolutely fantastic, guys. We've simply never had a bad Indian meal at the Bombay at Sandals. As our main courses arrive, guys, as I said in the introduction to this segment, I'm going to bring this episode to a close now, and of course our fun at the Sandals Halsey in Saint Lucia continues in the next episode. So I'm going to finish today and Tuesday with a montage of photographs that I took throughout the day. Thank you so much for watching. It is Wednesday the 16th of October 2024, and that means we're in day 4 of our 8-day vacation here in October 24 at the Sandals Halsey in Saint Lucia. We had a fantastic meal at the Bombay Indian restaurant at the Sandals Grand Saint Lucian last night, a resort that you've seen many times on this channel before, and that's exactly where I think we're heading today. Donna and Michael want to go up and laze around the Sandals Grand Saint Lucian, so we're going to take one of the free shuttle services over there today. This morning, Fiona wants to try out the a la carte breakfast restaurant, which is at Kelly's Dockside here at the Halcyon. So I'm going to head back to the room now, pick up my wife and head to Kelly's for breakfast before we take you on the free Sandals shuttle service that runs between the 3 resorts here on St Lucia. As you've probably realised from watching our previous episodes from the St Lucia 24 series, I like to go for a walk on the beach while Fiona snoozes on in the morning. It allows me some time to do the introductions to these videos. But back to today, it's time for me to head back to the room, see what my wife is up to, go for some breakfast, and then make arrangements with Donna and Michael to head over to the Grand. And as I get back to the room, I can see that Fiona is up and about, sitting outside, enjoying a coffee while waiting on me to head to breakfast. And as we're in absolutely no rush this morning, we're off to Kelly's Dockside to enjoy their table service a la carte menu. Alright guys, this is Kelly's Dockside where Fiona and I are going to go for breakfast this morning. It's also where Donna, Michael, Fiona and I are going to be eating tonight. As you can see, it's on a little pier just off the front of the resort here at the Halcyon, and for breakfast it is a sit down a la carte, and that's exactly where we're going now. Kelly's Dockside is one of the nicest restaurants here at the Halcyon, and in this reception lobby area is where you'll find the piano bar at least 3 nights during our 8 nights here during October 2024. We had heard that the service at Kelly's at breakfast was very slow, but not for us. The service was very good, and it was certainly not slow. And the food was excellent. And after breakfast, we nipped out to the balcony to take some photographs and this little video montage. And back in her room, before meeting Michael and Donna to head to the Grand, Fiona decided to feed the birds, which she did most mornings. At some point mid-morning, I can't remember exactly what time, Fiona and I headed to the lobby to meet Donna and Michael before catching the bus to the Sandals Grand Saint Lucia. The Sandals free shuttle buses connecting the three resorts here at the Halcyon, the Sandals Grand Saint Lucia and of course Le Toc run approximately every 2 hours. And I should point out that the Halcyon is approximately halfway between the Grand and Le Toc. So the best way to think about it is this. The bus leaves the Grand and heads to the Halcyon, and then it goes to Le Toc before making its journey northbound again to the Sandals Grand Saint Lucia via the Halcyon. And before you ask, I've got absolutely no idea why we had to sign before getting on the bus. This was the first time we ever had to do this in Saint Lucia. And as you can see, Team Campbell and Liv'n got the back row of the bus. The drive from the Sandals Halcyon to the Sandals Grand Saint Lucia would take somewhere between 20 and 30 minutes. However, you do have to bear in mind, guys, that there is a lot of traffic. It is very slow driving through Rodney Bay. So depending on traffic, it may take quite a bit longer. You simply never know. And trying to film through these windows was absolutely impossible, guys. As we enter the causeway to Pigeon Island, we're fast approaching the Sandals Grand Saint Lucia. And I think the journey from the Halcyon this morning took us just over 20 minutes. And it's a great little free shuttle bus service that allows you to experience the other Sandals resorts here on Saint Lucia. But most importantly, it provides you with access to a lot more restaurants than you would get if you were visiting one of the other Caribbean islands where there is only one Sandals resort. But if I was to recommend one thing if you're going to use this free shuttle service, make sure you take cash with you. Because if you miss this free shuttle bus, or just want to head back to your home resort rather than waiting possibly 2 hours on the bus, the $35 or $40 that it will cost you to take a taxi between the Grand and the Halcyon is absolutely worth it, guys.
Cheers! Cheers! Cheers!
Being back at Barefoot on the Beach and the Sandals Grand Saint Lucia was like coming home to Fiona and I. This was the first Sandals resort that Fiona and I had ever visited. We first started going to Sandals in 2013 and we've been to the Grand, I think, about 5 times. And we've produced several resort and room tours from the Sandals Grand over the years. The last one in October 2020. For the resort tour, go back to video number 158 on our channel catalogue. And we also did a separate video taking in a number of categories of rooms, and that is on video number 159 in our back catalogue. Anyway, back to October 2024. We were dodging the rain while killing time until we could get the next bus back to the Halcyon. Donna had achieved her goal from visiting this resort at Colombian Emeralds. course, we timed the bus to perfection because we didn't have long to wait until we would be heading back to the Sandals Halcyon. And even better, this bus had windows that I would be able to see through. And that means, guys, I will be able to bring you some content on the journey back south to the Halcyon. And here we are, passing the Rodney Bay Mall. And if you go back one episode to Tuesday, and therefore yesterday, you will see Fiona, Michael, Donna and I visit this very mall. And over the years that we've visited Saint Lucia, this particular building on my right was a complete ruin. In fact, it was just a shell of a building. So as you can imagine our surprise this year when we saw it had been completely redeveloped into shops. And on my right now, we're passing the new shorefront suites at the Sandals Halcyon. And you'll see a bit more of these rooms later on in this episode because Michael and Donna had upgraded to one. But back to this journey from the Grand down to the Halcyon on board the free Sandals shuttle bus. You will see that we're now passing the front gate of the Sandals Halcyon. And if you watched the last episode, you may remember me explaining that the Sandals Halcyon sits on this dual carriageway, which is in effect the main road between Castries and Rodney Bay. So in travelling south towards the Halcyon, you've actually got to pass the resort about a mile, go round the roundabout and then back a mile to the entrance to go in to the car park. And as you can see, we've just gone around the roundabout, so we're heading north again towards the entrance to the Sandals Halcyon.
I wanna kiss you before the sun goes down. I wanna kiss you before the sun goes down.
The only other video that I took on Wednesday was at Kelly's Dockside, where we had dinner, and what a fantastic meal it was. And this, guys, is where I'm going to finish off Wednesday, where I'm going to share with you some photographs that we took throughout the day. Thursday morning, the 17th of October 2024, and I'm up super early this morning because today is the day that I'm going to record the content for my ever popular
resort and room tour here from the Sandals Halcyon Saint Lucia. I'll try and put a link to where that video is. It's going to be the first one in the sequence before I start our holiday diaries, and I'll put a link to that somewhere here on screen. Not sure how I'm going to do it, but anyway, I'll get that done. Today we're just going to hang around the resort. Donna and Michael are loving their new room, and then we will probably just say hang around here all day, and we're heading to Gordon's on the pier at the Sandals Grand for dinner tonight. And yeah, that's it, guys. It gets harder and harder for me to produce new content as we get further into the holiday. It's harder to show you new things, but I do my best, and that's why these middle segments of the vacation tend to get shorter and shorter. But anyway, here goes with Thursday, the 17th of October.
As I said there, I was up super early this morning to record my resort tour, which I started at 6:30 a.m. Try to do these as early as possible to try and reduce the number of guests that make it into my resort videos, which tend to be very popular. And if you've not watched our resort and room tour from the Sandals Halcyon here, St Lucia, go back to video number 293, published on the 14th of November 2024. Okay guys, the resort tour video has now been completed. I've just been back in the room for the last half hour, 40 minutes, just downloading all of the content, and then I need to get a little bit of work done. What I will say is the Wi-Fi here at the resort is really very good. Sandals has never been known for great Wi-Fi in the Caribbean, but certainly over the years it's got better and better, to the point this trip I would say it is more than acceptable. So it's great to be able to keep up to date with a little bit of work, not doing a terrible lot this vacation. So Fiona is sitting beside the second pool. We're going to walk up there now. She did WhatsApp me and say she wanted a bottle of water. I've done that. So let's go and see where she is this morning. Sorry guys, I didn't realise that the GoPro had completely steamed up when I exited the room into the hot, humid air of Saint Lucia. Okay guys, it is now 20 to 5 in the evening, and I'm back outside at 9:03, which is going to be another room tour at a shorefront butler suite. Shorefront, you can see it's a beach, and it's a shorefront butler suite with a tranquility pool, 4 feet deep tranquility pool right outside your front door. And it was at this point that I'd recorded the room review of Donna and Michael's brand new upgraded room. Here's Michael. Good. To cut a long story short, Donna and Michael had a major maintenance malfunction in their room next door to us at the Crystal Lagoon walkout pool. So the lovely team at Club Sandals here at the Halcyon upgraded them to this shorefront butler level room. However, the compromise was, I think, Michael became the butler. To the posh room. Cheers. It is an absolutely beautiful room. Yes guys, without a doubt, Michael and Donna's new room was absolutely beautiful. And yes, I did a full tour of this room. Just go back to video number 293 and our Halcyon St Lucia resort and room tour. And as I said in the last episode, when we visited the Port of Castries, Wednesday and Thursday are cruise days here in St Lucia. And the only other video that I took on Thursday was back at the Sandals Grand St Lucia and Gordon's on the pier for dinner, which was absolutely beautiful. And that means I'm going to bring Thursday to a close with some photographs that I took throughout the day.
Good morning on Friday the 18th of October 2024. Today is Donna and Michael's last full day here on the resort. They're flying back to the UK tomorrow night, Saturday. Fiona and I are flying back on Sunday night because that was the only flight that we could get using Avios or Air Miles, because that's how we have booked our journey between the UK here and between the UK and here in Saint Lucia. So as we get into the vacation, I find it harder and harder to bring you new content, so I try to supplement these episodes with photographs that I do take in place of video that I don't take. Just been joined here by a little bird. Look at this little guy. He's clearly looking for the bread that Fiona has been feeding him or her over the last couple of days, but he's a pretty tame little thing. So anyway, let's get back to Friday, and I will try and bring you as much content as I can from Fiona's and my last couple of days here on the resort. Nearly forgot. This morning I'm wearing this year's Sandals Select Returning Guest t-shirt. I have to say I think it's pretty good. I'll try and get a shot from the back later on, but actually one of the nicer t-shirts, I think I've got about 13 or 14 of them now in total. In fact, I've got so many of them I didn't actually bring all of them with me on this particular holiday, and I only tend to wear them when I'm at a Sandals resort. I don't really think it's fair wearing a Sandals t-shirt when I go to other all-inclusive properties. Anyway, right, back to Friday. Fiona and I are going to head to Kelly's now. I'm not going to record any content because you've seen Kelly's before, and then we're simply going to hang around the resort.
Looking through my content from Friday, I actually did take some video at Kelly's dockside for breakfast, and just like the first time, our breakfast at Kelly's this morning was absolutely excellent. And zoomed in the distance, you can see the French island of Martinique, 40 miles to the north of Saint Lucia. And this morning, Michael and Donna have got a prime location on the beach right outside their shorefront butler suite.
Donna's on the Caesar. Fiona's on the Caesar. Michael's on the burger and chips, and I'm on the healthy option, a chili dog.
And on Friday evening, before we headed back to Kelly's on the dockside for dinner on Michael and Donna's last night here at the Halcyon St Lucia, we enjoyed the sunset from Michael and Donna's shorefront butler suite, room 903. This evening I recorded a time-lapse of the sunset, but at the same time Donna recorded a time-lapse on her iPhone of the four of us enjoying Michael and Donna's last night here at the Halcyon in their 4-foot deep soaking tub. And here's the time-lapse that I took on the GoPro on Friday evening. Michael and Donna's last night choice of restaurant was Kelly's Dockside, where we had another fantastic meal.
can't see Donna's at all. She's got steak. Fiona's got ribeye steak too.
Graham's got steak.
Got steak! Got thing! And Michael's got...
Chicken. Maybe chicken's outside.
He basically took one of his chickens from outside the room, wrung its neck, and it was stuck in a deep fat fryer this evening.
In a few minutes, I'm going to bring this episode to a close by leaving you with some photographs from today, Friday, which also brings this episode to a close. So you know what to do, guys. If you want to continue to follow Fiona, Michael, Donna and I as we enjoy Saint Lucia 24, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and press the bell icon to be notified when our next video is published. Anyway, back to the here and now. We're at the silent disco, but I didn't think Fiona and Donna got the memo that it was a silent disco. So let's run the footage back to the start and listen to them trying to sing. Yes, guys, trying to sing is the operative word. Yes, guys, happy wife, easy life. The girls were clearly enjoying themselves. Thanks for watching.
Baby, best believe that you got my attention, baby. Now I see you're there in my reflection. You're a part of me, the missing piece. Yeah. Hide and seek till I find you. Find you. Find you. Yeah. Hide and seek till I find you. Find you. Find you.
I'm afraid, guys, this is probably going to be one of our shortest episodes in this Saint Lucia 24 series. The further into this holiday that I get, the harder it is to find new content to share with you. But as you can see, Fiona and I are back at the Bayside for breakfast. And after breakfast, we lazed next to the Paradise Pool. And at lunchtime on Saturday, you'd have found Fiona, Donna, Michael and I back at the beach bar for lunch. I did say, guys, at this point in our vacation, the days were getting rather repetitive. In a good way, of course.
What have you got?
I've got
Nothing. I can't see a thing through the camera because the sun's...
quesadillas, chicken quesadillas.
And sadly, for Michael and Donna, all good things come to an end. They were, of course, heading back to the UK tonight, leaving Fiona and I to enjoy another day here in Saint Lucia. Our plan would have been to be heading back to the UK with Donna and Michael this evening, but we'd booked our flights using Avios, or Air Miles in the case of British Airways, and the only rewards flight that we could get were tomorrow night, being Sunday night, so Michael and Donna were heading back to the UK alone. We didn't really feel too sorry for Michael and Donna at this point, because they'd only be back in the UK a week before they headed to Spain. Oh, to be retired. Yes, we're very jealous of these guys. As As Michael and Donna's transport pulled away from the resort, Fiona and I would be heading to Mario's for dinner tonight with an awesome friend that we met here in Saint Lucia back in 2013. And I didn't take any more footage from today. So let's finish Saturday with some photographs that I took throughout the day. On Sunday the 20th of October 2024, and as you can see, the packing has begun. It's checkout day, it's time to go home. Fiona and I have been to breakfast at the Bayside. We're going to pack now, and then we have to be out of this room by 1 o'clock. They said that they would give us a room to freshen up before we get picked up at 4 p.m. to head back to the airport, so let's see how that goes.
Eso me pasa, mami, por quererte ver. Mientras ajena y también tu piel en el mismo party, pero otro ser, estabas más buena.
And it was as Fiona and I were enjoying our last day at the Paradise Pool here at the Sandals Grenada, Saint Lucia that we got a text and an email from British Airways to say that our flight had been delayed by a little over 2 hours. I'm always looking on the bright side. That meant our stay here in Paradise was extended a little further. And boy, it knows how to rain in Paradise, even if it only rains for a few minutes at a time. Alright, we need to leave a room at 1 p.m, which is slightly later than normal checkout, but we got the news from British Airways that our flight is delayed just over 2 hours, so we're now not going to be leaving the resort until 6 p.m, that's the pickup time. Still going to be out of the room for 1, but if you look outside, and in fact, if you look outside, there is no way on this planet Fiona and I are walking out of the room right now. So our plan is we're going to change of clothes. I'll put my change of clothes in this bag, laundry bag. We're going to take those small cases up to the club lounge and then go for a bite of lunch before heading back for around 4:30. They're going to give us a room to go and get freshened up, changed before we get picked up at 6 to head to the airport. There'll be very little videoing on the way back down to the airport because, to be honest, most of it's going to be done at night. The sun sets at 5:45 here. We're being picked up at 6, so it's going to be practically dark by the time we leave the resort. So that's the update for now. As soon as this rain goes off, we're going to head up to the club lounge and then go for a bite of lunch.
Él le manda a ella canciones de amores mientras ella audicionando para 12 corazones. Ay, qué pecado me.
And we got a really nice room to freshen up in before we changed to head to the airport to catch a flight back to the UK. I think this was room 106. And if you go back to video number 293, you will see a full and comprehensive tour of the Sandals Halcyon here in St Lucia, including a review of this room, which I said I think is 106, and 3 other rooms at this fantastic little resort. And after we'd freshened up, Fiona and I headed back to the Club Sandals Lounge to relax before our Sandals transfer bus would pick us up to take us back to Huonora International Airport. And it was here that we also met a lovely lady from Saskatchewan in Canada who'd recognised me from her videos. I'm not sure if she was a subscriber or not, but it was lovely to meet her. And just like that, we were back at the lobby waiting for our minibus to take us down to Fiona Airport. And it was a bit like deja vu and yesterday when we said goodbye to our awesome friends Michael and Donna, who not more than 2 hours ago had FaceTimed us from bed. Yep, those guys were already home when our journey back to Scotland was just beginning. And that's it, guys. With the Sandals comeback song completed, it was time for Fiona and I to get on the minibus and head back to the airport. And as you can see, it is completely pitch black, and that means that I'm going to get absolutely no footage from the trip back down through the rainforest to the airport. So I'm going to cut my losses now, guys, and we'll pick up in the next episode when we arrive down at Saint Lucia's Fiona International Airport for our flight back to the UK. And that episode will be our last one in our Saint Lucia 24 series. So you know, to you guys, if you want to continue to follow Fiona and I as we move in to our trip back to the UK, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and press the bell icon to be notified when that video is published. If you watched the last episode, you would have seen that Fiona and I had left the Sandals Halcyon in Saint Lucia for a near 2-hour drive to Fiona Airport, where we are now in the dark. If the journey between the Saint Lucian capital, Castries, and the airport on the south of the island wasn't bad enough, let me tell you guys, in the dark it was absolutely terrifying. There was no way to bring you any footage from the journey down to the airport, and to be honest, guys, I'm glad I didn't, because we saw an absolutely horrendous accident between Dennery and the airport, which we're glad to be at right now. So Fiona and I are now looking for the British Airways Club check-in desk. If you remember from our last episode, our flight home to London tonight was delayed by just over 2 hours, and as you can see, the airport was very quiet tonight, so check-in wasn't going to take too long. And as you will understand, I didn't film the immigration or the security process here at Fiona Airport, so Fiona and I were now heading in the direction of the lounge, which when we were last here in St Lucia in October 2020, it was closed due to the pandemic. To be honest, I was half expecting British Airways to have no lounge here at St Lucia in another one of their cost-cutting exercises, so it was a pleasant surprise to know that this contract lounge was available to all passengers travelling in the British Airways Club World cabin, and I've got no doubt it would also be open to all British Airways Silver and Gold Executive Club members. Guys, don't expect too much from this lounge if you're intending to spend an hour or so in it. The food was tasty enough, if not a little limited by choice, but there was also a bar, and that's obviously the important thing. And I think Fiona and I were only in the lounge about an hour before our flight was cut forward for boarding. As we made our way to the gate, you can see all of the shops here at the airport are closed. I'm going to make the assumption that it is Sunday night, guys, and they were expecting our flight to depart over 2 hours earlier than it did. Given that we're about to board a British Airways Boeing 777-200 wide-body jet with over 300 seats, I was more than a little surprised at how quiet the terminal was here in St Lucia tonight, and that meant we didn't have to wait long to board. taken this walk from the Saint Lucian terminal to our aircraft many times before, and I know I've said this in previous videos. Seeing the red, white and blue tail of our BA Boeing 777 means we're that little bit closer to home. And I know that British Airways over the years has become more of a national joke than our national airline. I still believe in my heart it's the people that make this airline what it is today. And it's not the employees' fault that management of this company simply make a bad decision after bad decision, reducing customer service to what it is today. So on the very rare occasion that you get to stand so close to this BA Big Bird, I can't help feeling that little bit of pride at seeing the beautiful red, white and blue of my home country. And let's face it guys, how often is it that we get to board a wide-body jet like this Boeing 777 by the stairs? This aircraft had just completed a shuttle service from Saint Lucia to Grenada and back again, a journey that Fiona and I have already made twice. So I'm going to make the assumption that there are probably more than 100 people already on board this aircraft waiting to head back to London. And this is where I'd say goodbye to Fiona for the next 7 hours. My wife was sitting in 1 Delta and I was sitting in 4 Juliet. I probably should explain that this particular British Airways Boeing 777-200ER is configured in a 3-class layout. Club World or Business Class, Premium Economy and of course Economy down the back. And you will recognise this as British Airways' old Club World Yin Yang configuration. And those of you who watch the channel on a regular basis will know that I really like this old Yin Yang configuration. The British Airways pioneered the flatbed business class product more than 20 years ago. Anyway, as you can see, we're pushing back from the stand now. I'm going to shut up now and let you enjoy this departure from St Lucia's Huonora International Airport, bound for London Gatwick. And that's it guys, we've departed St Lucia just over 2.5 hours late. With the delay to tonight's flight, service began very quickly. And since it's been over a month since I got back from St Lucia, I'm glad that I took a photograph of the menu. Otherwise I wouldn't have remembered that this was a West Indian chicken curry. And also without the menu I wouldn't have remembered the warm chocolate brownie smothered in rum infused vanilla sauce. And of course the chocolate brownie was washed down by a cup of black coffee. But the reality was guys, that was it for me and Sunday night. The benefit travelling business class meant that I could put my seat into bed mode and get my head down for at least 4 or 5 hours. Had a pretty good sleep overnight on board this flight from St Lucia up to London Gatwick. And again, I'm really glad that I took a photograph of the menu because I wouldn't have remembered that this was a scrambled egg and bacon wrap. And it was a little bit different for sure, in an okay way. Certainly not bad, not fantastic, but just okay. And just like on the way out to Saint Lucia, seat 4K was reserved as a crew rest seat. Yep, British Airways management in their infinite wisdom were too mean to put a crew rest into this particular 777-200 configuration. And at this point in the flight, we were just off the south coast of Ireland, making us around 1 hour away from London Gatwick. And I was a happy boy with a cup of black coffee. I tend to feel that I'm back in the UK when I go through the clouds and I see the grey dreichness, as they would say in Scotland. And of course it's not the case all the time, but please remember guys, it is October and winter is on its way. Anyway, as you can see, I've jumped into the empty seat 4K, which of course is this fantastic window seat as we make our approach into runway 26 left at London Gatwick Airport. As we taxi off the runway here at London Gatwick Airport, heading in the direction of the South Terminal, which of course at the time of recording this episode is the home of British Airways at London Gatwick. So how would I sum up this return flight from Saint Lucia? You know, there's really not a lot to say. The flight was just okay. The cabin crew were pretty average, nowhere near as good as the cabin crew we had on our flight out to Saint Lucia just over a week earlier. But I suppose we got here late. And I had a bed for the night, which meant that I was a lot more comfortable than I would have been if I'd have been travelling back in economy. The food was just okay. It was pretty average. And that, to be honest guys, is the best adjective that you can use to describe British Airways these days. When I was growing up, British Airways used to advertise themselves as the world's favourite airline. However, in a post-pandemic world, I would describe British Airways in 2024 as one of the world's most average airlines. They'll get you where you want to go most of the time in relative comfort if you're prepared to pay for it, with food that is edible, and on most flights you will get a professional and friendly cabin service. But seriously guys, don't expect much else from British Airways these days. And whatever you do, if you're not flying long haul and therefore just domestically or an inter-European service, don't fly British Airways guys. They're more than likely to cancel those flights ahead of these long haul services. As we pull up to the gate at Gatwick's South Terminal just over 2 hours late, it will soon be time for Fiona and I to collect our luggage and then find the National Express bus service that will take us to Heathrow's Terminal 5, where we hope to catch another British Airways flight, this time up to Glasgow. And yes guys, before you say anything, if I was to do this again, I would have booked into the hotel for the day and got a late afternoon flight up to Glasgow on board EasyJet. I met Fiona on the jetway, next stop UK border. And just in case you were wondering, we were warned that there was increased security as we exited the jetway. All guys were asked to produce their passports, so I guess the police were looking for someone. And heading into the UK border immigration lines, it's time to stop filming. And we emerge minutes later in the baggage reclaim hall. And I think from memory that the wait at baggage reclaim was only 10 10 or 15 minutes. A lot better here at Gatwick than it is at London Heathrow. But it was at this point I remembered that I'd booked the National Express bus to London Heathrow from Gatwick's North Terminal, and that meant we had to take the little train over to the North Terminal to catch our bus. And to be completely honest, guys, I'd absolutely no idea if I really needed to. Our ticket for the National Express bus service was a flexible one, and I'm glad that I'd booked a flexible ticket due to the delay on board British Airways getting back from Saint Lucia overnight. And because I'm not a massive user of buses, I simply didn't know how flexible the flexible ticket was. And the truth was, I just thought it was easier to take the 5-minute train journey over to the North Terminal and get the National Express there. And after an awful lot more walking, we emerged on the ground floor from the North Terminal, right outside the National Express bus stops. And from memory, I think our wait on the bus was less than 20 minutes. And as we pass the Premier Inn at Gatwick's North Terminal, it brings back memories of where this trip all started 8 days earlier, here at London Gatwick on the night before we headed out to Saint Lucia. As we leave the M25 London Orbital motorway towards London Heathrow's Terminal 5, I want to state the obvious here, guys, because we tend to think of bus travel as being cheap transport, but in the case of the National Express service linking Gatwick and Heathrow, it's far from cheap. In this channel, I very rarely talk about the price of travel, of course, unless I'm ranting about the ridiculous pricing policy of British Airways seat reservations. So I want to tell you that my return journey from Heathrow to London Gatwick and back again a week later, including an increased baggage allowance due to the size of the cases that Fiona and I were taking on this Sandals trip, and adding flexibility to make allowances for potential British Airways delays, and I'm so glad I did today. Return National Express service from London Heathrow to Gatwick and back again cost around £160. Know what you're thinking, guys? I have also flown from the UK to Spain on EasyJet and Ryanair return for a lot less than this bus service was between Heathrow and Gatwick and back again. I guess there's a captive audience. No practical alternative linking these two major airports in London. As you can see, we're now approaching London Heathrow Terminal 5, simply known as T5. This, guys, is the home of British Airways, a terminal that you've seen many times on this channel before. Like most airports that we've used over the last couple of years, self-check-in is without a doubt a thing here at Heathrow T5 as well. I suppose that cutting staff out of whatever process you can when employees tend to be the highest cost your business carries, this part saves money. Now just imagine if they could find a way to automate the the security process at airports, especially here at Heathrow T5, because as usual, the security line was a complete disgrace. I don't know why this airport, and especially this terminal, are so bad. It was just after midday when we were travelling through T5. It was also not an English school holiday week, so the only thing it can be is pretty appalling management processes at this particular airport, slowing things down. So when Fiona and I finally emerged airside, our plan was just to sit in a waiting area and wait for our flight to be called. With just over 90 minutes to wait, and we were travelling on an economy ticket, so there was no lounge access for us today, and I certainly wasn't going to pay for lounge access for only 90 minutes. One thing that Heathrow Airport does have is a very good app. I simply put in our flight number, so when our gate was called, the app pinged and we could make our way to the gate. However, it was very unusual today because our domestic flight to Glasgow was departing from one of the satellite terminals, and I've been transiting this airport since this terminal opened in 2007, and in all this time I have never used one of the satellite terminals to catch a domestic flight up to my adopted home city of Glasgow. The satellite terminals, of course, typically being used for the large wide-body jets used on long-haul flights. In fact, the last time that Fiona and I had to take a train out to one of the satellite terminals here at T5, we were on our way out to San Francisco at the end of June.
This is gates B32 to B48. Please take all belongings with you. Next stop, gates C52 to C66.
It is fair to say that walking around London Heathrow Terminal 5 certainly gets your step count up. Anyway, we'd made it to the gate, a very quiet gate indeed. Either we were about to board a very quiet flight to Glasgow this afternoon, or the other passengers didn't get the memo that we were leaving from Satellite Terminal B. Either way, Fiona and I were finally on the last part of our journey home from the Sandals Halcyon. I stopped filming the boarding process because the lady behind me in the line boarding the aircraft was complaining to her partner about my GoPro recording. In all of the videos that I produce for YouTube, I think that I'm pretty sensitive to trying to protect people's identity when I'm filming in public, and in recent years it's the second time that it's happened to me in an airport. But anyway, as you can see, Fiona and I are sitting comfortably as we're pushing back from the gate, and we'll soon be taxiing to runway 27 right for our departure that would take us back home to Glasgow, and maybe as karma for filming in a public place. But as you can see, my window today is pretty disgusting. I've certainly been cursed this year with dirty aeroplane windows. So on this last flight that I produce for YouTube in 2024, I'm sorry guys, I can only do what I can. This is a new one for me. 2 aircraft been given clearance to taxi onto the same active runway at the same time. I've never seen that before. Maybe I'm just not travelling through London Heathrow enough this weather. But it's always nice to see these aircraft, and especially the British Airways 787-9 Dreamliner, so close. And even back in the cheap seats, economy on board a British Airways domestic service, which they call Euro Traveller these days, you do get a bit of a service. Well, if you can call love corn and a bottle of water service. So I'm not complaining, guys, at least it's something. And it wasn't long until we were starting our descent into Glasgow. And it was really an okay flight. Let's face it, guys, it's just over an hour long between London and Glasgow. But my focus of this episode wasn't to make another trip report on board British Airways. My focus for this video was to showcase our journey home from the Sandals Halcyon Saint Lucia to Glasgow. And what you have to remember, guys, is that British Airways at the time of making this trip were only operating 1 flight a day between Glasgow and London Gatwick. When Donna and Michael flew home from Saint Lucia yesterday, they also had to transfer to London Heathrow using the National Express at their own cost, even though they had a through ticket from Saint Lucia all the way to Glasgow. The bottom line was, guys, British Airways had no connecting flights from Gatwick to Glasgow. And for point of reference, we're currently flying parallel to the Campsie Hills, which run to the north of Glasgow, and soon we'll be turning left in the direction of runway 23 at Glasgow Airport. So summing up this entire journey from St Lucia to London Gatwick, and then the National Express to Heathrow before joining another British Airways flight to Glasgow. Would I do it again, guys? Absolutely not. It was ridiculous when I think about it, and it was my choice. At the time we made this trip to St Lucia, I am chasing the next level of status with British Airways, but a Navios flight to St Lucia got me 0 points, and this domestic service return between Heathrow and Glasgow got me next to no tier points as well. However, I am planning to head back to the west coast of the US in January for work, and that should do it for me. So what would I do differently on this flight? As I said earlier in the episode, I would have simply booked EasyJet to get Fiona and I from Glasgow to London Gatwick, and we've done it on previous trips, staying at the Yotel for 4 hours at Gatwick South Terminal between our BA flight landing from the Caribbean and our EasyJet flight leaving for Glasgow. Because as we descend over Mulgai and Bears Den with the River Clyde in the distance, let me explain, guys, at this point in the journey, Fiona and I were absolutely wrecked. By the time we'd made it back to our home, it was over 19 hours since we left the Sandals Halcyon in St Lucia. And ironically, the music that is playing in this section of the video is called Beach Memories from Epidemic Sound, the music subscription I use for my videos. And you guessed it, at the time I have edited this video over a month after getting home from St Lucia, the beach is definitely a distant memory. Touching down in Glasgow on runway 23, of course, we're going to be bringing this episode and our entire St Lucia 24 series to an end. If you watched all of the videos, I hope you enjoyed them and maybe even inspired you to take a Caribbean vacation. And as this video is due to publish on Thursday the 26th of December 2024, Boxing Day here in the UK, I just want to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas if you're watching this episode around the time of publishing. As I said earlier, it's also the last video of the year, and for personal reasons, Fiona and I have absolutely no trips planned for 2025 so far. And I'll do a video of that very soon to explain why. So all that remains for me to say now is welcome back to Glasgow, guys, and Happy New Year when it arrives, depending on when you're watching this episode. Thank you so much again for watching.